Welcome to the Juice Radio Talk Show. 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 Reality TV, church reviews. Let's talk happy love and marriage lifestyle. Come and talk with us. Come and share with us. Come and laugh with us. Come on and pray with us.
Regina Clovis, special guest. You should be following your lead. Bless. Subscribe on YouTube. Listen on podcasts. We live on IG and Facebook. This episode is sponsored by TRIUMPH Ministries.
All right. Hello, everybody. So glad y'all are here. Welcome to our Money Monday series.
Yes.
We are back in the building. Thank y'all for being here. Listen, we got so much to talk about. All of you, grab your pens, your notepads, your cell phones, whatever you're taking notes on. And listen, join in on this conversation. We're back with Pastor Tawana Grant, and she's going to share some valuable information about tips on creating a business plan.
Yes.
Now, you guys, I'm going to pay so much attention to this because actually, this is not something that I have done as far as just, the mechanics of it. I just, you go along and you think you got a plan. You think you have a plan and you're like, I really don't think I have a plan. So I'm so glad you're doing this today.
Yeah. And that's so true because a lot of times we have an idea, right? We have a concept and we have a dream. And so now we have to take that dream and that concept and craft a business around it. And so just pulling all of those ideas and concepts into a plan that one, you can leverage it as your strategy, right? So you need strategy in order to be efficient in what you're going to do. So planning is key. When they say if you don't plan for success, you've already planned to fail. So not planning oftentimes leads to a lot of redo, extra money. So today's topic is right on time for all of us, right? Having the opportunity to write a plan and just dialoguing about some of the things that you might want to consider, right? This is consideration because every business is different.
Absolutely. And I want to thank all of you who are joining us today. Those of you who are in the chat. Hey, in my opinion, thank you for being here. Appreciate you so much. And listen, she's telling y'all, hit those like button, those thumbs up on the video. Thank you. She say it's free and it does help. It does truly help. Thank you so much for that, in my opinion. And Erin is in the chat. Listen, I love Erin. She is the greatest. Thank you so very much. She's reminding everybody, come on, click like, click subscribe, and click share. The more you, thank you, Holy Spirit, the more you viewers click videos that you like, the more you share the videos, and the more you subscribe to the channels, this helps the people who are doing things that you like on YouTube to get their videos more out there. It gets them kind of pushed to the top of the video search engines and search and watches and stuff like that. So by clicking like and subscribe, just doesn't mean you like the video. It also means that you want to help get these videos up to the top tiers of viewer choices for people who have not subscribed or who are not aware of our channel. So it does help. Thank you, Erin, and in my opinion for that so very much. Appreciate it so much. Let's go ahead and let's get started today, Pastor Grant, and have a chat about creating these business plans.
Yeah. So as we mentioned, if you don't plan for success, you've already planned to fail. So every business, whether it is in the marketplace of providing a service or a product or creativity, right? There are some people who are paid as a creator or an innovator. So it's their mind that people are paying for. And so whatever that is, there has to be a plan in order to make it viable, right? You want to prove out that it is a viable business, that it can sustain, that the service you think it will provide, that there's a demand. So there are a lot of good things that come out of creating and planning your business plan, because when you go to others that you're going to be offering your resource to, or ones that you want to partner with, or maybe ones you want to go to get funding from, or endowments, they want to know, what's your plan? What am I investing in? Right? What is your strategy and how do you plan to get there? Because sometimes people have to evolve and pivot even in what they consider as the business. Because after going through the plan, it will give you the context that you need to know. One, is this business viable, right? Is there a demand? Can I do this and it be sustainable for me, right? Is this something others will want to leverage? And then it will also let you know what other tools you might need or even your resources. As you walk through the plan, it helps you craft all the necessary understanding about your business, right? Talks about in all you're getting, get an understanding. So your business plan really helps you get an understanding about your market, your competition, and where you're going. It's a roadmap. It's a roadmap from the idea to execution and then to its evolution. So the business plan is a living document. It's a living and breathing document. So even though you might go in and you craft it for today, that's today's business plan, right? And so you'll find some people who never go back. And it's a necessity that you go back and revisit. Where am I in my financials? Where am I in my resources? Sometimes as your business evolves, what you thought you needed as far as the resources and skill sets have changed because the marketplace changes.
Right.
Consumers change. And so you have to evolve to match to what is happening out in your industry. And so that's why it is so important to start off well. Foundation is key. Business plan is one of your foundational tools for starting your business. So one, I want to say, don't be afraid.
There you go.
Don't be afraid to write the business plan. There are a lot of tools that are made available. They have a lot of free business plan templates that help you walk through some of the context that helps you. And I'm sure, Regina, you can pull up one, but they help you to formulate a business plan so you're not starting from scratch. Remember that. You're not starting from scratch, so it's nothing to be afraid of. Some tools, they provide you where you're just basically implementing the text, right? So they ask a question. You fill out the question as completely as the information you have at hand. And once you're finished filling out the template, it crafts and put the business plan together for you. So it helps design the business plan, but you're filling in the text because it's your business. So you're the one who has the information, whether you're getting that from yourself, right, or others who are collaboratively working with you. Again, so there's free resources for you. There's free resources to help you, but you can also then do your research and find organizations who help you with crafting the business plan. We've talked about last week going to SCORE. We talked about the Small Business Administration. So there are organizations who are available, again, who can assist you in crafting this document, who can assist you in writing down the details, who can help you walk through the format and formulating taking your idea, taking it from concept to actually creating the business. What does it look like? What does it feel like? How will it service? How will it make money, right?
Yeah.
How will you make money? And then when you make the money, what will you do with it? And so it helps you to really create those kind of ideas into a formulated plan. And so again, as she's showing on the screen, there are a lot of traditional plans. There are lean plans, right? There's some quick business plans that you can fill out, especially if there's a model of a business that already exists. Again, you're not starting from scratch. In most instances, there's a similar business that you can use as foundational to kind of give you ideas, right? Again, we talked about before doing your research, going out and see what is already available from your competitors will always help you at least enable the dream to start putting pen to paper. You've got to put it down. The scripture talks about write the vision, make it plain, so he that run can read it. You got to be able to read it so they can run with it. You as the visionary, and then others who will help you in bringing this vision to manifestation. They've got to have a plan in order to execute.
Yes. Now, this that I'm pulling up here is from the U.S. Small Business Administration. Now, as Pastor Grant stated, there are other organizations and companies out there that can help you create your business plan. There are other sponsors out there on when you do the Google search. I always like to go to some company or organization that I know is reputable first and get that information. And the SBA is somewhat an organization that is very reputable with helping small businesses get the information and tools and resources that they need. So I would say the first choice would be to go to someone like this site here, the SBA, and I'll put the link in the comment section here. But you can use others as well. Just use your caution. Be cautioned, as well.
Yeah.
Like we said before, with having organizations as far as when they're charging you fees, because remember, you're starting up. You don't want to put all your money into other people's business to try and get your business established.
Yes. And the good point is, and Virginia mentioned that last week, is that when you do it yourself, it helps you understand how it works.
That's right.
A lot of times when you put that kind of context, your foundation of your business in someone else's hands, then you don't always know the workings, the inner workings. It's so important that you are the core person who is driving out your vision. And so you're adding to the direction of where the vision is going. You are collaborating with others, but you're the visionary. So you need to have an active part in creating the business plan. You need to take active part in that. And so it helps you to understand your business and what you want to put out. We talked about before, when you're starting that business plan, or rather you're getting your business initiated and you're getting your business name and you're chartering with your appropriate state. Here we're in the state of Georgia. That's you now. This is your image and your brand. And so you own it. And just as so much, you also own the business plan. This is your business. So you want to put your hands to the plow. You want to make sure you do that. So we want to talk about a few of the components, the basic components of a business plan. One being writing an executive summary, right? That's one of the first things that you talk about when you're writing a business plan. It documents out what is the business financial goals, and the whole business plan talks about how you're going to achieve it. It's like a roadmap again, putting down the foundational of your steps that you're going to take in layman's terms. So you got to remember that too, because the people who are reading it are not in your business, right? So when you're writing your business plan, you have to talk in terms so that whoever is reading it, they have core context. They have an understanding of what you're attempting to do. So you always want to make sure that you use the language of layman terms so that they can understand and get the concepts. So again, your executive summary really talks about, on that first page, it's like a pitch. It's like, hey, here's the business that I'm doing. Is a description of your mission statement, a description of the service or the product or the efforts that you're going to provide in a broad summary, right? So it's, how does this look? What is the feel of it? What am I trying to put out in the atmosphere, out as a business to others to use? And so there are a lot of helpful information on how to write an executive summary. Again, a lot of that is curtailed to your line of business. So what I would say, I've always found this very helpful, is to go out and read some other business plans that do what I want to do. Because then it helps me too to understand what is out there, right? This is my competition. We already talked about knowing your competition. And it also helps you with getting creativity, right? It helps you understand what you may not have even thought about as you consider your business and you talk about what I want to provide. And so now you want to make sure everything you put in there, you're not overly optimistic or overly trying to be, you don't want to start off trying to do everything. We talked about that before. When you're starting a business, you really want to be very specific about what do I want to start off doing. And then you can also add into later in the plan, here's some of our future ideas. But you've got to get started, especially if you're going into a business you've never ran before. It would be different if you worked in a business and you were a contractor with them, so you know the service, or you were a laborer with them, you know how it operates, or you've engaged in that, or you had some type of study. But if this is your first time running out with a business, you want to start with the basic, and you want to be sure that the context of it is that this is what I'm starting to do, and you limit that instead of trying to boil the whole ocean, right?
Woo. That can be a lot of work. That can be a lot.
Yeah, you want to get started with the basics. So your executive summary, again, it should be an easy read. You want it to be an easy read to the investor. You want it to be an easy read. Sometimes you might be going in business and you want to have endowments. You might be a nonprofit. And so you're looking for people who are going to sow in. So it needs to be an easy read so that they can align whether your mission and vision fits theirs. That's what a lot of times they're looking for. What are you trying to do in the community? What are you trying to do in your industry? And so you want to make it sure it's very clear that it's an easy read, and you highlight information that makes you identifiable, that makes you unique. that makes you creative. You want to highlight that in the summary, because how many know, just like reading a resume, when somebody's coming, they're giving you the resume, a lot of times we look at that very first descriptor of their career performance, because that's going to tell me what's your core. What do you have at the basic? And if it aligns at the top, then I'll read further. So you want to make sure that executive summary grabs attention and it gives them awareness of what you're going to do, because you want them to read the rest. You don't want them to read just the first part and say, oh, that mission and vision doesn't align to what we do. And then they're done, right? So you want to make sure that you're doing that. So some of the easy steps in creating an executive summary here is that you certainly want to make sure you include a hook. That's what we said. Draw some attention. We want to make sure that they say, hey, that's very interesting. What you're doing is unusual, or you're doing it in a different way. Or I like the fact that you're providing that type of service. So again, you want to share something creative. That's what we're talking about, creative, innovative about how you will be doing that business, irregardless if others are already in that space. Next, you want to make sure you give your company a description summary. What does the company provide? A good description, information about your business, such as when was it formed, where you're located, what are your products and services, who's the founder, who's the executive team, those kind of things about the company, again, that will help draw them in. One of the things as you're writing your business plan, you want to keep them on the hook. You want to keep them reading so that they continue through the whole full document, and you can get them to the end so they want to read your summary. Some of the other things in an executive summary could include your market analysis. Here's where I've already looked at my competitors. Here is where I've already evaluated the demand for this product and service. It's a high demand and there's low supply. So here's why I'm going after this. You want to talk about the advantages of using your business. What makes you unique? What makes it instrumental for them to use you instead of your competitors? And what's your high basis of comparison? What makes you different, right? And so you want to make sure you've done your market research, because you want to ensure that that type of information is provided in your summary up front. You want to make sure they know that what you're doing is necessary and needed. And then you want to give a good description about your product and services, right? Tell them why the market needs you. Why do they need you? What are you supplying that they can't get any other way? What are you doing that makes you a highlight for someone coming to leverage your service or your product? And then you want to always identify what sets you apart. What sets you apart? What in your product is different from others? Maybe it doesn't even exist. Maybe your key hook is that I'm the only one in this area doing this.
Wow.
It may be available, it might be in another state, it might be available in another city, but in my demographics, in my 50-mile radius, I am the only one. That exactly, specifically is something that is going to set you apart. Talking about what highlights you can do as far as potential customers, right? So maybe you're shifting the dynamics of an industry. And so how am I going to go after these additional potential clients who may not even be aware that they need this service?
Wow. You got to make people aware of what they need. They won't know they need it. So sometimes you make them aware.
Yeah, sometimes they're not aware that that is a necessity, or that can be made available for them to do, right? I've operated with people and they've asked about certain things that they needed to be done, even with home, family, and friends. And I was like, hey, have you considered this service? Oh, I didn't know somebody even did that, right? Wow. And so having that awareness can help you in crafting your executive summary. Again, we talked about before, using a focus group. You don't have to go out and pay anybody. Use your family.
Wow.
Use your family. Use your friends. Use your network. Get people online. Send them out a Zoom link. I mean, things have become so much easier now to be efficient, because we are in the age of technology. So leverage those people that you engage with every day and say, listen, maybe you're trying to do something to a seasoned age group, a certain age group, and maybe they are not in your network as your network. Hey, can you have your mother? Can you log your mother on? Because I'm looking at providing something for seniors. Or, hey, can you join with your teenager? Can you come on the Zoom and bring your teenager on? Because I want to ask them to get a pulse check. I want to get a reading. So having done a lot of this due diligence as part of your building your business plan is going to help you know your audience. You need to know your consumer base. And so that's very important. So having that in your executive summary is key. Certainly, you want to make sure that you provide financial information in your projections. That's going to be very important in the summary, just at a high level. And then you're going to give more information in the business plan about your exact projections and your numbers. That's just part of the normal plan. But in your summary, you want to highlight, because if you're going after investors, they want to know, what is my ROI? What is my return on investment? What can I expect? Can I expect that you'll be able to meet your obligations? What you've committed to with me, can I expect to receive that back, right? And so you want to make sure that you're having that kind of conversation, having that type of information, so that they can read that as part of the executive summary. I like that. Okay, so she's pulled up that executive summary again. Some of those are some of the basic things that I'm going into a little bit more detail. But those are some of the things you definitely want to make sure you include. Your future plans. Again, having the investors or even yourself know that this is just the beginning, that it's going somewhere. No one wants to invest in a business that is temporal. You're just going to do a pop-up, right? You're going to just do it for today, and then you're no longer in business. I even know in some of the business that we created and started, some areas of partnership, they wouldn't even partner until we had been in business 2 years.
Yes.
Some areas where we've gained support and they pushed consumers to our facility, they wanted to make sure, because a lot of times business may start, but they don't stay in business. And so they need to know that you have a future plan of longevity, that I'm intended to start this business and maintain it until it reached a profitable state, until it reached a larger number of consumer base, until I'm ready to expand, until I'm ready for the next evolution. But a lot of places don't want to invest unless they know you have a future.
They want to know your business. They want to make sure that you are very well aware of your business. And it also makes your business look more professional when you walk in with a business plan already established.
Yes. And you know it, right? So you're not reading it verbatim. That's why we say it's so important for you to participate and not just pay someone else to do it. Because you can give someone your idea, and there's enough information out there to create a business plan, right? But you want them to do the specificity of how you are going to run your business. You want them to have the details of how you are going to impact and influence others. And so in doing so, you need to be the person involved in this process. We encourage you to not give that away. Don't give that away. Don't give that assignment away. Some things in life you have to do. And so moving on from the executive summary, just some very key things. Make sure it's concise. Make sure it's complete. Make sure it's clear. Have reviews. Have other reviews. Have others review the information in context so that it reads. Because I found this too. Because I write a lot. And sometimes I write from the perspective of me having all the knowledge writing. But you've got to write it in a way for a reader who has no idea about what you do and no idea about your concept. And so sometimes we have missed some key components in our writing because it's in our head.
Oh,
right? And so that's why it's so important to have a review, have others look at it, and make sure you're encompassing the necessary information. And then in the body, further down in the remainder of the business plan, add the details, right? The summary needs to capture all of the pertinent information and capture their attention so that they continue to read through the details. Make sure to use bullet points where necessary, right? So call out the high level points of interest that you want to ensure is given focus. Speak to your audience. So the business plan, again, is speaking to the audience who will be reviewing this. So consider the fact that you'll be sharing it with specific groups. And so there are times when you might, again, want to change your tone or change the verbiage. That's why we say the business plan is a living, breathing document. So as you go and you might operate with others, you might need to be a little bit more formal with others than you might be if you're going to a different group to read the document. So again, you need to adjust your style, adjust the style for the audience. Same thing with your resume, right? When you're doing a resume, you don't write one resume and you're done. You take the resume and you curtail it. You adapt it to the audience or to the job that you're going after, because many of us have a variety of experiences. And so depending on the job that we're going after, we might need to make some adjustments. The same as with your business plan. Don't get locked in. I found some people that they get locked in on one way of doing it, one way of a business. No, you have to be willing to flexibly adapt, because again, you have to meet your market. You have to meet the demand, and you have to operate with the people who will be assisting you in becoming partners. Some partners have a desire to see certain things. And so when you find that out, when you identify that, you need to put it in the document if you're going to partner with them. Next, play to your strengths. When you're writing a document, always articulate the areas where you are strong in. It doesn't mean that you make everything, wonderful, but you always want to play to your strengths, where you have interest, where it is noteworthy of investing, where it's noteworthy of identifying. Be sure to highlight these strengths of your organization. Maybe what you're going into may be new to you, but everybody that's on your team is an expert. That's a strength. That's something you highlight. Yes, I've never done this before. Oh my goodness, I can raise my hand. I'm in a lot of business I've never done before. I didn't allow that to prevent me. What I said, I play to my strengths. I know how to organize. I know how to start. I know how to initiate. I know how to engage. I know how to do the things, and I know how to adapt, right? And so you highlight your strengths, because you always know there's going to be some diverse questions that you'll receive about your business. While it may be a wonderful idea, people who are invested are going to poke holes in it. They're going to be looking for where is your weakness that could cause this business to fail. And that's where's your weakness that could be a risk. And so you want to take those clarities and initiate that debrief ahead of time as you're building the business plan. You have to think about that as you're writing it, so that you minimize risk. All risk cannot be eliminated. You can't eliminate all risk. Every business is a risk. Nobody intended that COVID would come. Nobody expected COVID to come, right? And so COVID came, and a lot of businesses had to close and shutter, because that is a known risk to business. They may fail, right? And so you can't eliminate all risk, but you try to address it to mitigate it. What's your plan if this happens? What is your plan if this event occurs? What is your plan if, especially if you're single threaded, if you only have one person who knows how to do the main job, how are you going to offset that, right? So these are some of the things that you want to consider when you're doing the business plan. And again, I've already talked about, get you a test reader, get you someone who can read that document, and make sure one or two people, right, who can read that document and say, okay, I understand this. Because they'll come back with questions you're not even thinking about, right, Regina? Because it's already in us, right? We're living and breathing that dream. And so we need somebody who has a different lens, a different perspective.
And I love that you had on there, put down, if this does not work, have a B, C, D, E, F, G plan.
Yes.
In advance, so that if that were to ever happen, and we pray those type of things never happen to your business, but have those unexpected things to be prepared for. Have it, like we said, nobody thought that the whole world was shut down, but what happens if, something like this happens again? And thank you, Elizabeth. I think people who are creating business plans today should include, if a pandemic were to ever happen again, this is my plan.
I think that's critical, because we've experienced that, and it was the first time in numerous decades, right? We've had that before, but it was a long time ago, right? Bubonic plague, polio, all of those ones where we now have immunization to address, right? All of those came about because there was a huge epidemic. But it's been a long time. And so now I agree with you. We have to reset our perspective to include something of that nature, because we really had fallen out the radar because it had been so long ago.
Yes, absolutely. We've got to get it together. I love this. I love it.
Yeah, thank you. So next, you want to talk about, again, so that was the executive summary. Isn't that a lot in the executive summary? There's a lot to be done. So you have to do your homework. You have to do due diligence on that to make sure that you cover off those key components. And then as you go further into your business plan, you add in more detail. Next, fully describe your business. So in the summary, you gave highlights, you gave an idea, you gave a thorough review of the concept and how it can be fulfilled and how it can be manifested. So now you're going to go into full detail about the business, right? Giving the registered name more fully if it was longer than what you provided, giving your business location, talking about those key people, that you might have referred to in the summary. The fact that I have subject matter experts who are part of the team that gives us, more influence and give us more solidity in what we're doing. And so now you go into detail about who is that team, right?
Yes.
As you're talking about and describe your company. Who is that team? What do they bring? What are their skill sets? What is their expertise? How do they make the business solid? How do they build that great foundation for you? What is the commitment level to, especially if you're starting out new, their ability to ensure its success and their ability to pivot and adapt to the changing nature of starting a business. So again, when you're talking about that and you're sharing about your business, you want to make sure you highlight the business structure. Who's in charge, right? Who gives the information or the legal confirmation of the stance of the business? Who signs off? Where does the buck stop? Right? You might have managers and others who are also privileged to operate in the capacity of leadership, in the capacity of authority and responsibility. But you also need to identify who's the main person, CEO, CFO, CEO in charge. And so those kind of definitions as far as product, service, and the percentage of ownership, who owns certain percentages, those kind of things help, again, the reader understand your business and its alignment, helps provide them with the understanding of stability and hierarchy and structure. It also helps them understand you as a business owner. How are you thinking? Are you thinking through the modules of the resources and skills that you need for the now as well as for the future? A lot of the business plan is giving them insights into who you are as a business owner, who you are as the business manager. And part of who the business is the people who work for the business. Who are they and what do they bring? So that's a very, very important critical part of the business plan. Another highlight of the business plan is to state your business goals. What is your goals? What are you trying to do? From an outside investment, is very key to explain and make it clear, why do you need funds and how will they be used? How are you using your current funding? And those are some of the good things that you can add to it. How did you gain the funding to start the business today? I will say this as an investor and one who's also gained investment for some of our business. They want to know, what have you put in? How much skin do you have in this game? What have you done? Right? And so when you're talking about your business goals, that is something you definitely want to highlight it. Here's the business. Here's what I've done to get it started. Here's where I invested. Here's where I've sacrificed. Here's what I have put in, so that in the interest of ensuring this business is solid, in the interest of ensuring that this business makes the goals and is stood up, I've invested this. And so a lot of times they're looking to evaluate on your commitment as well for the business. And so you want to highlight that in the business goals. How do you stand that up? How will the business, again, be launched? How will you grow it? We talked about before, some businesses, they are starting now to do soft launches. That's been a key thing in the last several years. Maybe you want to consider in here, business goal is maybe to do a soft launch first. And then I want to iterate, right? And iteratively open the doors for the general public. So this is the place where you really want to put in and explain it very clearly. How does your business launch? How do you launch your new product? How do you launch your new service? How do you gain sales? And then how do you increase sales, right? Because you're going to do your numbers later in your business plan, but they want to know what's your strategy. Because a lot of times we have numbers and we're making estimates. We have an idea, but we don't have any meat on the bones on how we will get there. And so this is where you really help to explain how I'm going to get to the numbers that are committed to later in this document. And so again, expect to have questions. When you expect that, you will be more thorough in how you're explaining in this portion of the business plan. What do you think, Regina, when you were scheduling out your business and crafting business goals, what type of perspective were you looking at?
Listen, first of all, I'm still stuck over here on this business funding request part. This is the part that I think a lot of people really need to look at. But you know what? me, like I said, I was so, this is why I'm being so quiet in this video, because I am taking this all in.
Oh, good.
Because I myself have not created a formal business plan. I am like so many others. We have the business, we have the licensing, we have all of this other stuff, but the business plan, paper wise, I do not have. I have it
Yeah,
all
it's in your head. Yeah, it's in your
all
head.
in here.
Yes,
Right.
and,
And so I'm loving this.
and that's what we're encouraging. The concept in your head is great. That's the start.
And just
You
put it
guys,
on
without a
paper.
vision, the people perish. If you don't have a vision, you won't even get started. So
But he
having
also
a vision,
said in that verse, he said, write it on
yeah,
tablets.
yeah, write it down because it
Yes.
makes it easier for you. One thing we found is the stability that's necessary to run a business requires it to be written down. Otherwise, you'll be jumping to and fro, right? And
Yeah.
and it's difficult to keep pace. I talked about yesterday, momentum versus movement. You want to keep momentum on the vision versus just moving around. That's just movement. We can have a lot of things. There's a difference between output and outcome. We have a lot of things that we put out, right? A lot of things when you're starting your business that you can just run into. But what's the outcome we're looking for? What's the results? And that's what the business plan helps us to do. It helps us to pull all of those ideas, a concept, ideas, features, functionalities, our expressions about the experience. What is the experience we want our client to have? What is the experience we want our consumers to have? What do we want when they walk in the door? You know, when you think about those things, it's great, but now you put it on paper. What do we want them to think when they see our name? That helps us when we're thinking about crafting the name. When they see that name, is it easily identifiable with what we do? Does it bring a smile? Does it bring joy? Because they feel like, oh, this is going to be a place of pleasure. Then the same thing would be about our business goal. Our goal is providing that service, how we differentiate ourselves from others. How do we make that experience different? How do we make the experience better? Those are some of the things that we want to consider in our goal and in our thinking, right? Sometimes we have to do what they call just a dialogue of having ideas. We have a think tank where we're just sharing ideas. And then from those ideas, now you bring them in. And so that's what the business plan does. It brings everything in to a roadmap. You're taking all of those ideas, all those concepts, and you're putting it down for a roadmap because you want to be very clear in your explanation. You talked about for a business loan. Oh my goodness, they will want to know this information because they are now investing in you. You're a viable business. They consider it the service or product you're providing of a demand that can be profitable. And so now they have an idea, okay, now I want to invest in you. So having those business goals help them to further get you to a yes. Because at the end of the day, you want your business plan to lead to a yes.
Absolutely.
And so you're crafting it that way, and you're getting enough real information, because I want to be clear about that. We're not making up things, right? You want to get your information has to be justifiable. You have to back it up because you have to know this. If you're going to a bank, they have access to demographic information. And so they can pull it up and they can validate how many consumers are in a certain area that would want to likely be able to afford the pricing that you're looking at. And we'll talk about that in a minute, doing your market research. But a lot of that detail you need to do in advance. So when you come, you can answer their questions. And hopefully a lot of the questions that they would traditionally ask are in your document already. So you
and I love that you said that. I love that you said that because as I'm listening to you, I'm taking all of this in, it's almost as though if you want to go into a company to connect with you or to just share with somebody who your company is, you have this folder, your business plan is in there. All you have to do is leave it on the desk. You don't have to wait for a business meeting. You don't have to say, I need to tell you what it is about. You don't need, all you do, you drop it off and there you go. And that person can read through it. They can skim through it because they may not want to know the whole thing. They may just want to know the marketing part. They may just want to know the summary part, but you don't have to sit there with them. You could just, hand deliver it. This is what my business is. And I, want to know if you'd be vested with me, invest or whatever. I love that it is your business on paper. So you don't have to stand there and say, I need an appointment to record and say, this is who I am. You don't have to put a recording. Okay, this is what I do.
And this is the entryway. This is the start. And I agree with you. This is the start so that as they read it, they get to know who you are. And then you add in the personality, right? So it's always good to, along with sharing the document, make yourself available because there's some parts to your business that are intangible. It can't be written who you are. They need to know who. They want to know, who am I doing business with? And so while you put as much core context you can in the business plan, you make it concise, it won't tell your whole brand, your whole story. And so that's you. And that's why it's so important that the document itself speaks to your vision and who you are. And then you add to it. You are the final dot at the end of the whole presentation. You're the one that puts it all together. You're the one that closes the book, right? So when they read it, and then you're there to add the expression, you're there to add the supplement to what the document doesn't speak to, which is you and who you are, your personality, your capabilities. While it might be in paper, oh my goodness, I can't tell you, I've interviewed people before and that paper looked wonderful until they came to work. Okay, so there's a human part aspect to the whole gaining a business loan, that you want to make sure you are at your best. And this document is the start of that. It will help you. Trust me, it'll help you know your business. It'll help you also understand who you are. Because sometimes people will go into it and start off, I didn't know it prior to all this. Once they start doing the business plan and they find out all these other niches, all these other areas that they also have to fulfill as part of that service. It was like, oh, I didn't know I had to do that too. Yes. Right. And that's one of the things we talked about, Regina, last one when we talked about licensing. There's some components to getting the license that have additional requirements when you're starting up your business, especially if you're going to be brick and mortar. If you're talking about in your document that you're going to have a physical location, you have to talk about that. You know, how are you going to go about getting that business? Where's that business going to be located? Where's the area that you've already done your research? We'll talk about that in a moment. So it is a lot of information, but it helps you to go through the process, because then you know your field. You know how to react and adapt when things change. You know how to address these questions that come up.
Yes.
And I would say too, the next thing you want to have in your business plan is describe the product and service very fully, right? Explain how the product or service works. Talk about your modeling. Talk about your pricing modeling. How did you come up with how you're going to sell it, right? What research or what understanding clarity do you have that brought you to that pricing level? Talk about the typical client that you might have. Who's your audience? Who's your consumer? How will you get them? How will you market to them? How will you introduce them to your product or service? Who are your other partners that you have to provide service to as far as getting your product or service? Maybe you're selling something and you don't make it. That means now you have a supply chain. Now you have other people who are also involved in your exchange of your service. How do you get them and ensure that they are operating on time? How do you make sure that you have the product necessary in order to fulfill your end? Because you're selling, but you have other people who are on the back end of this, and if they are not on time and on task, it creates a bottleneck to your service. So you want to always make sure you have awareness into that, and that you've talked about what is that strategy. If you're selling an item, what is your strategy on sales? How will you get it to the market? How will you ensure that there's even a return policy? Oh my goodness. Thinking about those things. How do I have a return policy? How do I have a refund policy? Talk about all of that as part of your describing your product or service, because it does matter. It does matter if you're selling something and you found out your distributor is all out on back order. What do you do with your business when all of the items are out? Right? Can you survive? We talked about that. You just talking about the contingency plan for COVID. Can you survive if your product is not available and that's all you sell? That's another way to consider multiple products and services, because if you're single threaded, more risk. So we talked about how do you evaluate your risk level based on your product or service. Again, if you only have one, if you're having a therapy type business and you only have one massage therapist, what happens when that person is sick? What happens when that person's out of office? You have to evaluate and weigh all of that into your business plan, because it is a risk. It's a risk to the business when you don't have a contingency plan. Contingency is very important, and you want to identify that in the portion about your product and service. Again, make sure you do your market research. You want to make sure this is a huge, huge part of being successful. Understand your industry. Understand what your competitors are doing. Understand what lenders are looking for. Understand your capability. What can you commit to? How much can you invest? How much of this are you willing to risk, right? How much can you put at stake as you operate in your business? Yes, doing your market analysis. Find out why this is important to put out now. Sometimes you might have a dream or a vision or a business or service, and you also have to look at the timing. So you want to talk about that too. Is this the right timing for that kind of business? And here's why. I've evaluated my market. There is high demand and low supply. The timing is right. I've looked at the frequency. I've looked at the longevity of this. And so I feel like the run rate for me to be able to provide this service for a long time is valuable. And then I've looked at and evaluate that I can also evolve this service into adding on this as well. And here's why I say that, because these two work together. I'm leveraging the same distributor. It gives me another opportunity to sell, gives me another opportunity to increase my finances coming in. And so there are a lot of ways that you can tell your story, but market research is what you need, is the information. You need data.
It makes me think of seasonal businesses when I saw this part that said market analysis, and it says, why does it work? Can you do it better? Yes. And it says, what do successful competitors do? And I thought immediately of seasonal businesses. There's a snow cone company here near where I live, and they are closed during the winter months. Yes. And I immediately thought of that company when I saw this market analysis, and I'm like, what do they do during those off months?
They close down, but they recognize if I can get my material at a low cost, and in those 3 months, if I can sell a distribution of a high rate, my gap between what I paid and what I sold it for is large enough that I've made a significant amount of money. And I totally agree with it. There are some businesses that are seasonal. Think about fireworks. People are not buying fireworks all year long. Ooh. The biggest time for fireworks is around 4th of July and New Year's. Yes. Right? And so they push that. Think about Halloween, that people that celebrate that. They're doing things at certain times of the year. People who have business just for Christmas time, right? Yes. Some of the services or some of the even event places that are only open during Christmas where they have the lights, right? But they found a lot of times they're leveraging a facility that they can rent at low price for a period of time, and they bought their material that they're selling at a very low cost, and they're selling it at a high enough difference so that they've made a good amount of return. And so
I'm glad you said that, because for people that are thinking about these new business entrepreneurs that we're talking to, that they're thinking about doing a business that would be noted to be maybe a seasonal business, take some of those hints that Pastor Grant just said. Now, don't just say, well, I'm going to be okay for January through February or so forth, or February, March, whatever. Take some of those tips that she just said. Make sure your rent is low enough to cover those months that you're not there. Make sure you're buying materials that are less expensive to cover you for those months that you're not in operation. I love that. I love those.
There are even some facilities where you can just rent for those specific months, because they have the event halls, they have the event spaces, and they're renting them out to different people for different events. And so if you feel like you just need it for 3 months, find your facility that is adaptable to what you need. Don't pay for more than what you need. That is always a guiding premise for me, is pay for what you need. And so if you only need it for 3 months, find a facility that operates in that capacity for those 3 months. Or, as we mentioned earlier, your next option, so again, the plan B, is to find one where it's a low cost, and then also find out what can you do in those other months, because you could be making money. I have a great friend of mine. She always talks about this, and I think it's still on her voicemail, but it says, think of new ways to accumulate wealth. And so you have to think about it. How can I now leverage this particular facility if I have to get locked into a 6 months and I really only sell my product for 3? Now, what can I do for the other 2? Rather the other 3. If I have 6 months and I have 3 when I need it, what can I do for the other 3 months? Maybe you can then sublease it to other events or other partners that also operate in industries where it is seasonal, or short term. Maybe you can go to someone and say, listen, maybe you want to do a pop-up this month. I will lease you the property for this month and you do your pop-up there. And so there's some creative ways, again, that you can think about how to build new wealth. That is a way where you
like
can
diversify. Is that almost like diversified funds?
You can diversify the use of the facility. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
You want to not be single-threaded. You want to have diverse usage. I can tell you from one of our businesses, when we were going into it, we were thinking only one is our driving school. We were thinking initially, I went after, okay, we want to do the risk reduction DUI. Just do that. And then the Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, no, do everything they have available because you never know. Things are seasonal. And that's what he said. And I can tell you that there's other services that do more than the one I'm starting with.
Wow.
And so when you think about that competitively, you want to be able to offer multiple service with the same expense. So while we have the same expense for the same facility, I'm doing multiple businesses there, right? And so now I'm leveraging that expense and I'm covering it because now I have options and I have other income, multiple income, multiple streams of income in one set expense. That's what you want to do. You want to get that gap between what you're sending out and what's coming in. That's what your gain. That's what gain is, right?
Yes.
But my expense, what I send out, that gap is my gain. You want to make that gap as big as you can.
Absolutely.
Business, you want to make it as big as you can. Yes. And so I'll move real quick. I know we're getting to the end, but this is good. This is good. And so we're just talking about, again, building out your business plan, writing your business plan. There are a lot of tools that you can use that are online. There are several services and resources you can use that are free. We talked about SCORE. We talked about SBA. All of them are available to you. You can go online and sign up and get a meeting. So there's no reason why you cannot advance in this area. Again, we talked about doing your market research. The next one was outlining your marketing sales plan. So again, a general outline. How am I going to market? How am I going to sell? What is my plan? Because you want to make it a repeatable process. The more what you do becomes a habit, the easier it becomes and the more efficient you become at it. So you want to craft a plan that is repeatable. You don't want to craft a plan where you have so much churn in it. This is different. That one is different. You want to try and create a plan where you're doing a strategy that's repeatable so that you become efficient in it. What I do for this client, I do for that client. It may be a little tweaking, but it's the same process. It is the same set of distribution. It's the same partners that I have to work with because it makes it more efficient. It makes it more repeatable. It makes it more reliable. Right? You want it to be reliable. Then again, you perform a business financial analysis. So again, this is where you're getting into the numbers. You want to get it all the way into your numbers. Again, you can go through a lot of the SCORE and SBA to help you in how do you create a business model on your financials. How do I craft a financial plan? How do I look at my assets and my debts and my cash flow? How do I improve that? How do I move my business to it is supporting itself? So those are some of the things you want to think about as you craft that portion. Lots of detail there needs to go to it. So that means you need to give it time. And then after you get all of that data, again, that's all data, expenses, assets, debts. How do you leverage your cash flow? All of that is data. And then you take that data and you apply it and you create your financial projections. So you need the data. Right. And then part of your business plan is that you're going to add in any appendix, any additional information you want to provide. Maybe it's the resumes of the owners. Maybe it is the credit report of the owners. Maybe you're going after funding or lending. And those are the kind of documentation that they require in the business plan submission. So especially if you're going to other organizations to partner, you want to find out what do they require so that you do it well the first time. I want to encourage you. The first, what do they say? The first impression is the last impression. So you want to do it well the first time. And so the more you put into it, the better it will be. So again, I think we covered out today. We talked about the executive summary. We talked about describing your business. We talked about making sure you include your business goals. Talk about the product and service. Do your market research. and do your marketing sales plan that needs to be there. And then lastly, your financials and your projections. And then any additional documents that you feel will be pertinent and helpful to getting to a yes. And that's a yes for you too. At the end of crafting this business plan, you want to be able to say, yes, I feel good about this. Yes, I feel like I can execute on this vision. Yes, I feel like I can do what I need to do to make it successful. And then also you want to be able to have the document crafted so that you can get a yes from others that you will be partnering with. So I hope we share some good information on today to help you as you continue to enable yourselves on Money Mondays. It is all about ensuring you have the information necessary to win with your company and with your organization. And it starts now. Start now. Don't delay. It's already in you. That vision is there. And so now you can take some of this information and apply it, right? Success is when you take the application of information. They say success is when opportunity meets preparation. This business plan is part of your prep.
I love this. Listen, this has been so informative. I'm going to have to go back and watch this again and put my businesses onto this business plan, put it onto paperwork. The website, I also dropped the link in the comment section, the website for the SBA Small Business Administration. Write your business plan, the guides and the instructions on that's there on their site. I dropped that link in the comment section. You guys can go there and take a look at that and get your business plans going as well. Pastor Grant, very informative information. Very informative. I feel like my business not even up to par. I don't have my business plan.
Yeah, well, again, the business plan is iterative. So start where you are. And I can honestly say I leveraged the Small Business Association as well as SCORE when I was starting with the first business. So I can say from experience, they're very helpful. The person that you will work with, and I'll say this, if you've tried it before and it didn't quite work out, go back, try it again. Because oftentimes it may have been a connection where you were personally in trying to do it that way. It could have been the connection with the person who was assigned. Don't give up on your dream. Try it again. And I love the fact that you didn't even let having a business plan stop you. That's a blessing. Because when you know it's in you, do that. But then the business plan is just going to help you enable to move to the next level and to share your dream with others, right? Because ultimately, you don't want to be the only one that's holding the reins. You want to be able to say, hey, you take that, and they have the instructions that they need to continue pushing out the dream. And so that's why we want to write it down so that others can participate in that process and help us to move it further. Collaboration helps to further the dream. Yes.
And I love that we're doing this. And again, I feel as though when you get your business plan, it's almost like you're putting a badge on your business. A nice positive check mark badge to let other people know that you have gone that extra step into your business and getting your business to be that extra, added gold touch that businesses should have. Listen, you guys, we've been talking about business plans, and let me tell you, this has been one of the most informative videos. All of them have been very informative, but when I tell you, for me personally, this has been one that I think is, up there as number one. All of the videos are great, though. Pastor Grant, I want to thank you so much for being back here on the Juice Radio and Talk Show every Monday for our Money Monday series where we lunch and learn. Thank you so very much. Pastor Grant also has a great ministry in Riverdale, Georgia, My Father's House Pentecostal Church. I have dropped all that link information in the description of this video. You guys, please go ahead and check her out. If you're in the Riverdale area, make sure you go ahead and check her ministry out as well. They've got a lot of great events coming up and great services on Sundays. And I tell you, it is amazing over there. Pastor Grant, your wealth of knowledge is impeccable. I love it. Love it. Thank you.
Listen, so much. We're both sharing our experience, and we want everyone to be able to gain from that, right? And to win. So where we can enable and support that, I feel like we are paying it forward. We're pushing others to be able to execute and have that drive and support that they need. Maybe we didn't have that in some instances when we were getting started. So now we can change that and shift that dynamics so that they know that there is a place where you can exchange, where you can ask questions and you can receive additional information to enable you. So I'm excited about this platform and what the Juice Radio and Talk Show is providing, right? By just having this platform available every week to talk about money. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right, we're getting ready to get out of here, but we'll be back next week. The links are already up for the next 2 weeks. Make sure y'all go to our YouTube page. Click that notification bell so you'll be reminded when we go live next Monday at 12 noon. Come on back. Thank you so much, Pastor Grant. On the count of three, we're going to get out of here. 1, 2, 3.
Peace and blessings.
Bye, guys. Have a great day.
A heartfelt thank you to all of our subscribers who joined us for this video. If you have not already subscribed, go to our YouTube channel, The Juice Radio and Talk Show. Subscribe and click on the notification bell to be alerted whenever we go live. Join our private Juice community. Go to www.thejuicecommunity.com and sign up for free. Join us, The Juice Radio and Talk Show. We have our Money Monday financial series. It is a lunch and learn program at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time on Mondays. Also on Monday, we have our reality series and hot topics at 7 p.m. Wednesdays, we have Bible study at 7:30 p.m. Thursdays, we have church news at 7:30 p.m. We also offer motivational moments, happy marriage lifestyle, news from a godly perspective, movie reviews, as well as our single moms club, Let's Talk Ex-Millennials, and of course, our Cooking with Clovis. Follow us on our podcast channel, The Juice Radio and Talk Show Podcast, streaming on all podcast platforms. A great big thank you to our podcast production company, Noye Podcast Productions. They can help you create your own podcast also. Contact them today at houseofnoye.com. Thank you to our sponsor, Custom Apparel Shop. Have them complete your embroidery work and silk screening needs. Do you need a logo created for your fashion apparel or company? Contact Israel Mason today. That is 786-657-7501. Thank you to our main sponsor, Truth and Triumph Ministries. Truth and Triumph Ministries, a ministry that cares about telling people the truth so they can triumph in life. Thank you, Truth and Triumph Ministries, for all you do.